Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Live Album War. Today, we're going to look at two super top-selling live albums from 1976. Both were number one albums at the time of their release. One of them would remain on the charts for an incredible run and sell well over 8 million copies worldwide, while the other one would do very well for itself, sell over 1 million. All right, but it was a triple album, so back in the day, triple albums not necessarily going to be as big a blockbuster as a single or double album, certainly. But both really super live albums. One basically kind of really broke the artist in a big, big way. And the other was a live document of that band, who were huge at the time, their long trek across the U.S., all right, this big, huge tour that they did. And both albums contain a lot of the really strong songs from each act, okay? So first off, we're going to talk Peter Frampton's Frampton Comes Alive, okay? That iconic cover. An iconic album. I know a lot of people think of live albums from the 70s. I mean, this was the first probably big, big blockbuster. All right, there were a lot of really top-selling live albums of that decade, but usually, this one always gets mentioned. Whether you like the music or not, it is an iconic live album, right? The other, Paul McCartney and Wings, Wings Over America. Like I said, triple album set containing a large majority of the Wings classics plus a bunch of Beatles tunes. So let's take a look at each one. By the way, good to be back. Got back really late last night from my business trip to D.C. It's just amazing how, when a flight that normally should take 35, 40 minutes, it winds up taking you 6 hours to get home. I'm amazed at how often when I travel, 90% of the time, I get hit with delays or some kind of fiasco. It just always works out that way. So going out to D.C., no problems, no issues whatsoever. Coming home, a different story. It was sprinkling a little of D.C., all right? All of a sudden, all the flights going into Newark are delayed. I was originally supposed to be up in the air and out of there at 7:45. I didn't leave D.C. till almost 11 o'clock. All right, one delay after another. They kept blaming it on Newark, the weather at Newark, blah, blah, blah. We finally get to Newark. It's so damn late. It's almost midnight, right? And we get to Newark. The weather's fine. What? The ground's not wet. What was the weather situation here? Just crazy. So, I didn't get home till well after 1 o'clock last night, so I'm dragging here this morning. But I figure get up, get showered, deliver a video to you guys, right? So where were we here? Now that I talked about my traveling fiasco, and I'll be doing it next week and the week after that and in October too. So, all right, so 2 LP set, all right, 2 CDs here. Side 1 of the original vinyl, we've got a brief little introduction, then the band launches into Something's Happening. All right, something's happening. A very good tune. I like that one a lot. Great rendition here on the live album. That goes into Doobie Wah. All right. Another kind of favorite of mine from this album. Then you got Show Me the Way. Right. Big hit. It's a Plain Shame. Over on side 2, you've got All I Want to Be Is By Your Side. Winds of Change. Baby, I Love Your Way. I Want to Go to the Sun. All right, so you got in the first album, first LP of the 2-disc set, you've got a couple of hits, couple mellower tunes, right? A couple rockers, right? I Want to Go to the Sun's got some great guitar work in it. I mean, that's the one thing. Back in the day, I remember when this album first came out. Most of the girls liked this album, right? This was not as much a guy album back then. I remember, my cousins, they were all like, "Oh, this great new album by Peter Frampton, you got to check it out." And I was like, I'd rather listen to my Who album or my Kiss album. Thank you very much. But Frampton, other than the looks, was a very, very talented musician and a great singer. So a lot of great guitar work on this album. Side 3. Penny for Your Thoughts, okay, I'll Give You Money, Shine On, of course, which is a track that he wrote while he was in Humble Pie. Pretty good rendition here. Jumpin' Jack Flash, their cover of Rolling Stones classic. Interesting, different twist on the song, right? Okay, and over on side 4, you've got the excellent Lines on My Face. Again, a lot more great guitar work, kind of jazzy guitar work from Frampton on that. And then the lengthy 14-minute Do You Feel Like We Do. okay, which is one of the legendary tracks from here. It's got the talk box thing going, right? Everybody knows it. Very popular song from Frampton. So basically what this album did for Peter and company, he was, I would say he was a household name before this, and his solo albums that he released before this, were good, solid, some good songs, good songwriter, but he kind of took those songs to another level here on Frampton Comes Alive. And I think that's what's always been so memorable about this album. It's like it took a bunch of very solid songs, made them even better. Okay, so a really good live album. Okay, strong live album. Legendary live album. Big time. Okay, and they've also reissued this, a couple times with some extra tracks and what have you. I still have the original CD release. All right, over to Wings Over America. So I have a real history with this album. Wings was one of my favorite bands when I was a kid, and I played the LP of this to death. I remember getting that triple LP set with the big poster, that I hung up on my wall. You opened it up, it had the great painting of the band live on stage. I loved everything about this album. This, for me, was kind of Wings at the peak of their powers, playing most of the songs you wanted to hear. I would say the track list is pretty damn strong on here. You know what I would have liked, though? And you know what? I'll say this. I'll save my kind of thoughts on both of these for the end. But let's talk about the songs on here. It opens up. Side one of the original of the first LP in this set, excuse me, is awesome. Okay, you got the Venus and Mars going into Rock Show, going into Jet. Doesn't get much better than that. And Rock Show is better on here than it is on the studio album. Jet completely kicks ass on here, right? That goes into Let Me Roll It. Another great tune, okay? Spirits of Ancient Egypt, all rocked up and raucous. And then a sizzling Medicine Jar with lead guitar player Jimmy McCulloch singing lead vocals. Side two, all right? An incredible, definitive version of Maybe I'm Amazed. Doesn't get any better. Okay. Then you got Call Me Back Again, Lady Madonna, The Long and Winding Road, Live and Let Die. Okay, so there's a couple Beatles tunes sprinkled in amongst the set here. Live and Let Die is really good. For my money, I would have rather they played less Beatles tracks and more Wings stuff. That's just me. I know they got most of the best Wings tunes, all right, but there are a couple nuggets here and there they could have thrown in. I would have loved to have heard Junior's Farm and a couple other tracks, right? But you can't have everything. Side three, you got Picasso's Last Words. Drink to me, drink to my health. A good version. Richard Cory, all right? Paul Simon tune, kind of a surprise. Bluebird, I've Just Seen a Face, another Beatles tune. Blackbird, and Yesterday. So you got a bunch of Beatles tracks in there on sides 2 and 3. And then over on side 4, you got You Gave Me the Answer. Quick little quirky tune that leads into Magneto and Titanium Man. Again, I think the live version here on this album even better than the Venus and Mars studio version. Go Now, okay, which is a song the original lineup of the Moody Blues played. So you got Denny Lane on vocals, because of course Denny Lane was in the Moody Blues for a brief period of time. Then you've got the mega hit My Love. Done well here. I prefer the studio version, but done very well here. Then a great version of Listen to What the Man Said, which again might even be better here on the live album. Same thing on side 5 with Let 'Em In. I think both Listen to What the Man Said and Let 'Em In are fantastic here. Love the horns. It's just a great band here. Time to Hide, another Wings track sung and written by Denny Lane. Silly Love Songs is great on here. And one thing I do want to mention, I think Paul McCartney's bass throughout this live album is just absolutely astoundingly good. I think he sometimes doesn't get enough recognition for being the incredible bass player that he actually is. Beware My Love rocks hard on here. Again, arguably better than the studio version. Side 6, the last side of the LP, is killer. You've got Letting Go, which again snarls and rocks with some great guitar work from Jimmy, Denny. A fantastic Band on the Run. All right, just love it. Then you've got the Boogie Rock High, okay, which is fun. And then finishing it all off with a song that does not appear on any of the other studio albums, but played here live. It's ferocious. It's my favorite. Not my favorite, my number two. My two favorite songs of all time by Wings are Junior's Farm and Soily. Soily is heavy, it's rocking, it's got cranking guitar riffs, it's got the horn section. McCartney just screaming up a storm. McCartney could really get aggressive and do hard rock vocals when he wanted to. And Soily is a perfect example of that. Just a great, great tune that ends this album on a real high note for me. And like I said, this is an album that I grew up on. Okay, I listened to this. I think we kind of touched on a few times, what are some of the live albums that you listen to the most in your life? And I would say this one is definitely up there, along with Kiss Alive and Made in Japan. I played the hell out of this, and I still listen to it fairly regularly. So when it comes to looking at each one, okay, what we really like about them, what we maybe don't like so much about them, this is a really, really strong live album. And like I said, it's got its legendary status for a reason. Personally, I feel this album, while very, very good, there's so many other live albums that I think are so much more successful in terms of what they deliver. There's a handful of tunes on here that are that's good, right? Granted, the stuff that's fantastic on here is absolutely fantastic, and in no way am I saying I do not like Frampton Comes Alive, but I do. But there's a lot of people, and I've already seen it on the Facebook page, who are just well, it gets the win, or it's the choice because it's Frampton Comes Alive. And it's I just think that there's this kind of it has this reputation, right? Deservedly so, that a lot of people will automatically default to it. But I think the more you really start thinking about it and looking at it, looking at the songs and all that kind of stuff, for me, it comes a little shy of being one of the most definitive live albums ever. Doesn't mean it's not ranking up there somewhere, right? Little shy in that department. Whereas this, for me, personally, and again, I'm just giving you my personal opinion, it's just what I prefer, I have a hell of a lot more history with this. I've always been a huge Paul McCartney and Wings fan. There's so many just wonderful tunes on here, played exceptionally well, some better than the studio tracks. I get more warm and fuzzies from this one. Would this have made a better double album? For me, I would have taken a bunch of the covers and Beatles tunes off. Okay, but again, I know this represents what they were playing live at the time. All right, but the Beatles are the Beatles, Wings are Wings for me. That's just kind of the way I am with this stuff. And I would have rather, one thing to play 2 or 3 Wings tracks, leave it at that. Beatles tracks, and have the rest all be Wings. You got Go Now, you got the Richard Corey. Fun stuff, yes, but could we have thrown in a Junior's Farm or a Mull of Kintyre, a couple other things? Actually, Mull of Kintyre was that they hadn't done that yet. Sorry, not Mull of Kintyre. But there's other little nuggets that they could have pulled off of some of these albums that I think would have made good additions here. Jesus, a couple other tunes on Band on the Run that would have fit nicely on here. Any number of stuff, right? So that's my preference, but I still love this album to death. So if you were to ask me, well, Pete, which one do you prefer? I prefer Wings over America. Okay, for me, it's a unanimous decision. But this is great too. Okay, so let's remember, guys, because I know we're going to get a lot of people saying, oh, no, Pete, it's Frampton Comes Alive. There's no way Wings is better. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying I prefer it. Okay, it's because that's what we're doing. We're having a conversation. We're discussing 2 legendary live albums, and we're all going to have the one that we kind of lean to the most. All right, so I lean to this one, but I still dig this one quite a lot. They're both great live albums, and let's have the discussion. So put in your comments and feedback. Which one do you prefer and why? Maybe you love both. Maybe you hate Wings. Maybe you hate Frampton. Maybe you think one's overrated, whatever. One's too long. One's got, whatever. It doesn't really matter, okay? But let's just talk about them, all right? That's the focus of these shows, is to discuss some cool albums. And the ultimate goal, because, of course, we do polls on Facebook page. The ultimate goal is we're going to find out what you, the viewers, consider the greatest live rock album of all time. Okay, that's kind of the goal. So what we're going to be doing over the course of the next month and a half is just talking about a whole bunch of them, discussing, picking, and, keep going. So in other words, if whoever wins this one here is going to go up against the winner of another pairing, okay? If you don't want me to call it battle, pairing. All right, so, we got all sorts of people who are like, you can't compare these. Why do we have to have wars? It's not a war. We're trying to ultimately you're going to hear me talk about the albums. You're going to hopefully revisit the albums or visit them for the first time. And then ultimately we're going to see if we can figure out which is the favorite live album of all time amongst everybody who visits Sea of Tranquility. And there's a lot of us, right? So that's kind of the ultimate goal here. So go to our Facebook page, cast your vote. In 6 days, we'll have a winner, okay? And that winner will go on to the next round. That's kind of how this is working. So I'm keeping tabs of all this stuff. If you're someone who does not have a Facebook account, you hate Facebook, you want nothing to do with it, what can I tell you? But we've got hundreds and hundreds of people, sometimes thousands, who are going onto the Facebook page and voting. So I think it's pretty accurate. And based on what I've seen on the Facebook polls and the voting, it kind of mirrors a lot of what I'm seeing in the comments section of here on the YouTube channel. So that's a scoop today, guys, right? So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube every day. I've got another one of these cooking up for tomorrow, then we got them over the weekend. All sorts of fun stuff happening. So stay tuned, all right? And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.